Can you hear that? It's raining. It is a cloudy, very rainy, just amazing day. And I honestly, I was thinking, I started watching the new Wednesday Addams series, and it just reminded me of like old school Morticia Addams. And when I say this kind of day is a gorgeous day, it does make me feel a little bit like Morticia Addams, but I'm saying it's a gorgeous day for a different reason. I feel like Morticia just loves everything dark and dreary. I just appreciate the rain because we never get it. Although I do have to say, we've been getting the rain a lot more lately. I feel like we had a pretty decent monsoon back in the late summer, and then we've gotten more rain throughout this winter than I feel like we've gotten in previous winters. Everything is so green out right now. Like for the desert, it is so green. By the way, hi everyone. Welcome if you're new here. If you're not new here, welcome back. It's great to have you all here. I'm Andrea if you are new, and I live in Southern Arizona where it rarely ever rains and where it's rarely even cloudy. So this is amazing. And I am loving this. I am so loving this. It is now Monday, by the way. It is Monday. It is a holiday Monday, so it feels like a weekend. I don't have to work, but I do have to go to campus tomorrow. So I didn't vlog the weekend. Long story short, I had a false alarm with a rapid test for the dreaded C word. So that sent me into a complete panic. I went and did some PCR tests, spent the rest of Saturday trying not to think about it, but feeling a bit disappointed because I was supposed to go over to my parents' house. I was going to vlog the weekend. I was going to vlog going to my parents' house and being with mom and being with the dogs and having dinner with my parents, and then vlog a cozy Sunday here at home and go for a hike both days. And yeah, it didn't go to plan. Saturday I was too afraid to do anything because I thought, well, maybe I'm just not yet feeling sick. But then Sunday I woke up and felt completely fine. Completely fine. My PCR test came back and surprise, surprise, negative. So it was a total false alarm. Anyway, so I did go for a hike yesterday because I wasn't vlogging. I was not in the headspace to vlog over the weekend, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to hike today. Let's cut to that hike and you can see how lovely it was. Even though it was very cloudy yesterday, it was not rainy at the time I was hiking, but it was cloudy and it was gorgeous. So come hiking with me. So it really was amazing. And I don't think my camera is going to have done it justice. It is so green out there right now. I wish you could see how green it is out there. Like there's this almost carpet of thin grass coming up on the ground. Like there's this ground cover of green. Underneath some of the plants, some of the like larger bushes and small trees, there's like all this like clover. Like it's bright green. It's greener than grass green. It's super green. All the plants, even the cacti, just feel like they've all greened up a bit. Everything just feels so lush out there. Oh, it's amazing. I'm really hoping that we're gonna have a fantastic spring because of how green and how much rain everything has gotten. I'm just really hoping that everything goes into full bloom this year, because it'll be hell on my allergies, but it'll be amazing for walks and pictures and stuff. So it was a slow hike, but it was a really nice hike. So now I can just relax. So I have published my vlog for the day because it's Monday. So I could not forget to do that because it does still feel kind of like it's a Sunday. And I have to keep reminding myself, it is a Monday. You have to go to campus tomorrow, but you don't have to work today. So today I did still kind of make myself wake up a little bit early. I think the rain helped me because it motivated me to get up and get out here, be able to enjoy the rain. I'm still in my pajamas. I've just thrown a cozy sweatshirt on over my pajamas, so I'm still super casual and cozy. And I'm gonna sit in my chair and just start working on book work. I have a lot of book work I want to do. I want to write, I want to outline, and I want to finish reading Royal Romance 1. So I was up way too late last night for a work night, knowing I wanted to still get up at my normal time for a Monday. I was up way too late reading my own book that I know what happens, but I could not put it down. I couldn't put it down yesterday. I couldn't put it down last night. Every time I needed to step away and take a break, I just couldn't do it. I wanted to just, it was like one more chapter, just one more chapter. So I feel like that's a good sign. So I've still got 3 hours left in it because it's a long one. We'll talk more about my feelings once I finish it, but I am enjoying it. So I think for now I'm going to get some food, get settled down. I might watch some YouTube for just a little bit, then start reading and finish that draft. That's like priority number one, is to finish that draft, and then I will do some writing and some outlining. Okay, it is a little bit later. It's still like drizzling outside. It's 1:45 now. So it's saying it's actually gonna like thunderstorm later this evening. So we'll see, fingers crossed. I'd love a thunderstorm. Wanted to come back over to my desk and cross a couple things off my task list. I have posted on both my Instagram accounts and I have paid my bills. I'm not as far on reading and getting through this draft as I'd hoped I would be by nearly 1 o'clock, but I got distracted. I got distracted with Instagram and I got distracted with paying my bills, but I wanted to just get that done, and then I finally got to work. I did also talk to Mom for a little bit on FaceTime. Lexi is at the vet's today having minor surgery. Fingers crossed I get an update from Mom. I told her to send me a picture once Lexi was home and settled on the couch. So I'm going to sit back down and get back to reading. I've got just over 2 hours left in the book according to my Kindle, but I'm loving it. I stopped working on it in October, the very, very end of October, basically the 31st, right before NaNoWriMo started. I finished the first draft and then I set it aside and I ignored it throughout all of November. I meant to read back through it in December and then put it off all of December, and then pretty much the first half of January I've been ignoring it as well. So it's been like 2.5 months since I last touched it, and the first half of the book, it had been months since I'd read it because I made a lot of progress over the summer, and then I feel like that second half from like maybe the last third of the book was written more slowly over the course of like September and October, and so I really wasn't sure what I was gonna think about it because it just felt like I couldn't remember a lot of stuff. But I am loving it. I am absolutely loving it. I'll talk more about my overall thoughts when I finish the read through, but so far, like, I'm not capable of just reading it quickly. Like I originally intended on doing a relatively quick read through. I just wanted to read it quickly as if it was someone else's book that I'm just kind of getting completely absorbed in and reading fast and just enjoying the story. And it's not that I'm reading slowly because I'm picking stuff apart, although I am stopping to take notes of minor continuity issues and things like that, or questions I have based on what I do remember of the latter several chapters of the book. If there's something I'm reading in the earlier chapters of the book that I'm like, ooh, I don't remember this. Did I stick with this by the end? Because I did spend a much longer time writing the first draft of Royal Romance 1 than I have of any of my other books except for A Brave Start, because A Brave Start I spent several years writing the first draft of that. Royal Romance 1 really took me about a full year because I started working on it around NaNoWriMo of 2021, and then I finished it right before NaNoWriMo of 2022. There's a lot of little details that I forgot. I'm also making notes of things that I was like, oh, I really should do this differently or add this in or whatever. Things I just want to make sure I don't forget. But I'm not making a ton of notes, so that's not slowing me down. I'm really enjoying the story. And I don't know if that's just because I write the stories that I want to read, like that's the kind of writer I am, or if the story really is that good. I think it's somewhere in between those two, but it's making it hard for me to read it quickly. Like I'm really getting sucked into the story and I do want to keep reading it, so I'm gonna go get back to that. But like over the last couple days that I've been reading it, I haven't wanted to put it down, which I feel like is kind of a good sign. But again, it's like it could just be because I write the books that I want to read and I don't know. Like I'm really curious. I'm going to send it to my alpha readers without making many changes because I just want to know what they think of the really raw, uncut version of this, and if they love it as much as I'm loving it, because then that's a pretty good sign that it might actually not need as much work as I was afraid of. Like I'm not noticing, as I'm reading back through, I'm not noticing pacing issues as much. I feel like the pacing is pretty good, and I feel like what happens at the 10% mark, what happens at the 20 to 25% mark, like there's key things that happen at those specific places that like I still managed to get the timing right, despite the fact that it ended up being about 30,000 words longer than I intended. What happens at the midpoint is I think it ended up being at the 45% mark, not exactly 50% like I had originally intended, because it ended up being longer. So like the pacing seems pretty good to me so far. So, but I am I'm now in that second half where it did end up, I was writing more than I intended. And I feel like the second half took me longer to write and ended up being longer than I originally intended it to. This is where I'm like, okay, is it now going to start slowing down and feeling like I need to cut things. So I'm going to get back to it. We'll see how it goes. But I am really enjoying it, which just feels really good because I was really nervous about reading back through it. But so far so good. So fingers crossed it continues going in that direction. Okay, I have finished my read through. I really like it. I don't know. When I was writing it, I felt so sure that I was gonna rewrite the whole ending and cut a ton of scenes. And now that I've like read it in its entirety, I'm really confused. So I definitely need to text my 2 friends who serve as alpha readers for me and just see if they're able to read it. And then I might just have to put it on pause again for a week or so while they do, because I don't even know that I want to make too many changes. I guess I could start going back through and making the little changes, but like I definitely don't want to cut anything without hearing what they think first. Yeah, I'm really confused now because I really do like it. I like it a lot. It is long. I think it took me somewhere between 6.5 and 7 hours total over the course of about 3 days, mostly 2 days. I only read like 3 chapters the first day that I started reading it. And then I read almost half yesterday and then the other half today. It is long. It's the longest book I've written and the longest book I would be publishing. But it's not like it's 200,000 words long. It's not like it's twice as long as any of my books. I don't know. I think I can definitely tighten it up. There's things I can trim, but there really, I'll have to go back through it again, but there really weren't any scenes that stood out as, well, you can just cut this. They all feel important to either the plot or to the individual character arcs. So I'd be really hesitant to just cut a whole scene outright, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I want to see what my alpha readers think, and then I definitely want to go back through it kind of with my editor hat on. So I was just reading through it as a reader, not as the writer and not as the editor, but just as objective as possible as a reader. And so I need to go back through it kind of now as an editor in Scrivener and just really decide what is truly most important and what is truly serving the story. I'm not opposed to cutting anything, and I had already been mentally prepared to have to cut a lot, but as I was reading it, I just didn't feel like there were any scenes, and I know there are some really long chapters in here. I know there were some chapters that were like 6,000 and 7,000, even maybe longer than that, words long, which I try to keep my chapters 5,000 words or below. Like 4,000 is kind of my happy point. Between 3,500 and 4,000 is kind of where I try to have my chapters be. So I know that there are some chapters that were really long, and I definitely do want to trim some things and condense some things, but there just wasn't anything that stood out as, this is boring, I'm skimming this, it's probably not important. I just didn't have that the whole time I was reading. Instead, it felt like I couldn't even pinpoint as I was reading which chapters were the epically long chapters, because I was just enjoying everything. And so now I feel nervous because I'm used to kind of getting to the end of a first draft read through and being like, okay, well, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And like, there is, but I also just really, really, really like the story. And I really, really, really like where it's at. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe because it's rural romance and because there's a little bit more drama and like just detail from the world building, and it's a fictional country, it's a fictional royal family, so there's a lot of world building I have to do. It's really more of a contemporary fairy tale. And so fairy tales kind of fall into fantasy, and I feel like fantasy can be longer. And so I don't know if I might be able to get away with the longer book because of the kind of way I'm playing with the genre. My alpha readers and my beta readers are definitely going to be important to this one because I feel like I can't make a decision on my own. This is why the editing process is so important. The first draft is for me. That's always been how I view this whole process. And that's the advice that I would give to other writers. The first draft is for me. And I will always keep a version of this book. I will probably go back through while I'm letting my alpha readers read it and clean up the errors and the mistakes and stuff, because this would be the version or close to the version that I would want to come back and reread in the future. The final published versions, so the first draft is always for me. It's the story that I want to tell. And then the subsequent drafts and the final published version is for all of you. And it's edited to what I think is best for the market, best for the readers. And so it gets edited with all of those factors in mind. And so that helps me make some of the more difficult decisions and not get too precious about my writing, because I can always keep a first draft version of this, and that's my version. And that's the version that I will always love. And then I can have scenes that I cut and things like that. And I'm not precious about cutting scenes because I can always release those in the back of the book of a future edition, of like a special edition. I can always send those out in an email newsletter as a bonus thing. So I'm not overly precious about my work because I can always keep a version with all of those things for me so that I can enjoy them. But I am honestly confused now because I really like it. And I don't think it's a typical contemporary romance that should be shorter. I just feel like maybe I can get away with it being a little bit longer. This is why we edit, and this is why I have alpha readers and beta readers, because they're going to be really important. I'm also nervous because I really, really like it. And like, if you guys don't like it, I don't think I want to know. And that is the hard part about publishing. Like, people are going to have opinions. And so it's always a little bit nerve-wracking when you start a whole new series, when you start writing in a different genre or a different subgenre. So like, it's still romance, but it's a different subgenre of romance. So I've got my London-based contemporary romance, I've got my small town cozy romance, and now I'm going to have the royal romance. And so starting a whole new everything, like I have no idea how anyone is going to react to this. So again, this is why alpha and beta readers are so important. It is now 4 o'clock. This day has completely run away from me. I really want to write. I need to get a little over 1,200 words written today if I want to stick to my new Scrivener goal. It has stopped raining for the moment, but I'm hoping it will start back up again. I think there's still possibility for rain. Anyway, I've got a flashing battery light. So I'm gonna go change my battery, and I'm gonna sit down and start writing and see how quickly I can get 1,200 something words written. There's something about the internal leveler in this camera where every now and then it'll just be a little bit wonky for a moment, and then I watch it in the preview screen just kind of finally righting itself. There we go. I used to think I was losing my mind, and then I noticed other vloggers who I know use this camera doing it the same thing in their vlogs. I'm like, okay, I'm not losing my mind. Anyway, it is time to wrap up this vlog, I think, and wrap up the day a little bit. It is 6:30. I need to go get something cooking for dinner because I am getting a little bit hungry and I need to eat before I get hungrier. So I'm gonna get something going and keep editing this vlog until whatever I decide to cook is cooked. I got 1,308 words written so far today, so that's good considering I also did so much reading. I'm really happy with the amount of bookwork I did today. I didn't do any outlining, but I did a ton of reading. My read through is now done, and I got over the amount of words I needed in Scrivener. Scrivener was telling me like 1,280 something, and I got 1,308. So I'm on track there. Tomorrow is not a scheduled writing day in Scrivener, so I'll be fine if I take tomorrow off. And then Wednesday, hopefully on Wednesday, I can do over my word count again as well and try to bring that word count down. I really want to finish this draft. I want to finish this draft. I want to finish it by my birthday, which is a little over a month from now, which is wild to think about, so we're not going to think about that right now. And I think if I can also be working on outlining, I think then I might be ready to start writing Independent Hearts 3 by my birthday, and that would be ideal. That would be fantastic, because then that would give me March and April. So I don't think I'd push myself to have the first draft of that finished by summer break, but I think I could be at least halfway through by summer break, and then once I'm on summer break, I'd be able to write the other half really quickly. And then I also need to figure out, and I need to write this down so that I don't forget that I need to figure this out. I need to figure out my nano plans for this year. I need to be thinking about that. So I need to need to be thinking in general. This will be the topic of a future video. So I need to figure out publishing plans and strategy for 2023 and nano plans 2023 for April, July, and November. I need to figure out, need to be planning that now, because I need to kind of be thinking, where am I going to be at with different projects? So yeah, I need to think about all of this, because I need to figure out, like, I'm pretty sure I know what I'll be working on in April, but like by July, because like I still will need to be writing Independent Hearts 3, but like by July, I really won't be scheduled to be writing something. I need to think about that. I'm not going to think out loud in this video. We need to wrap this video up, but like I need to be figuring out my camp, my NaNoWriMo projects, because I don't want to get to a new month, a new camp or November and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like with today, I am between the last vlog from Friday, which is the one I'm editing, and this vlog, I feel like we've kind of discussed me getting back into writing. I've picked up the projects, we're working on things again, we're moving forward, it's all good. So now I need to like start actually like planning, like figuring out, not necessarily specific days, but just my general plans and my mindset for this year, and with that, how that's going to impact Nano, because I do really like participating in Nano, particularly camp, so I don't want to miss out on that. But yeah, so I got 1,300 words written. That project is now at 71,775 words, and I finally finished chapter 14. So I'm on to chapter 15. Chapter 15 has, let's see, part of this is my outline. So what did I write today in chapter 15? I wrote 804 words in chapter 15. And then I've got another bit of words in chapter 15. They're like 400 something in outline for chapter 15. So I'm working on chapter 15, and we are over 70,000 words in the manuscript total, which is over half. But I'm also more than halfway through the chapters. It still could end up coming out a little bit long in the end, but it's not going to be like Royal Romance was. Royal Romance, I cannot stop thinking about. I really can't. So I need to send that off to my alpha readers and to see what they think, because I really feel like I need someone else to read it. So I might even email or text a third friend who I think would really like this novel and see if she wants to join as an alpha reader, because she gives really good feedback. And I know she reads books like this, so she'd probably be really good as well as my 2 existing alpha readers, because they're awesome. So yeah, I can't stop thinking about it. Like, honestly, I want to go back to the beginning and start reading it all over again, which is good, because that means I'm going to want to edit it. So I am looking forward to that. It's just, it's living in my head now. I can't stop thinking about it, which I think is a good sign. So we'll see. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this vlog up. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed this writing vlog. I'm really excited to be getting back into writing vlogs. I've missed writing and sharing this process with you guys. I feel like vlogging makes me more focused on the process, which is my biggest goal for writing this year, is to focus on the process and not just the end product. So I'm really enjoying doing these vlogs. Yeah, I'm so happy with myself and proud of myself for getting the read through done, because that was huge. I knew that was going to be daunting because I knew it was so long compared to my other books. So I'm glad I got that done, and I'm happy with 1,300 words. I feel good about that number. I'm now going to go get dinner sorted. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. More writing vlogs are coming. We're getting back into this. It's going to be a good year as far as writing is concerned. So definitely subscribe if you want more writing vlogs in your sub box here on YouTube. Our question of the vlog. I guess I'm curious, because I am like the word length and just the length in general of the first draft. It does make me a little nervous because I've never written a book that long. I've never published a book that long. So what is your view on long books? Does seeing a large page count or seeing a thick book on the bookshelf, does that turn you off, or does that make you reach for it more? Does word length only does it not matter as long as the story is good, or is it a case of it doesn't matter how good the story is, you just flat out won't read a book over a certain length? For me, it really is about like how well it's written and how well it's paced, and like, do I want to keep reading it? Whereas if it's a really long book, and like Anna Karenina, perfect example. My book is not Anna Karenina, but I feel like that's a good example. Anna Karenina is a really big book, and half of it feels like a page turner, and the other half of it is just, what's his name? I think it's Lenin, just walking through a farm field philosophizing, and it just feels like you're walking through mud. So like, that's what I'm trying to avoid. I feel like I'm not that afraid of writing, or publishing rather, a longer book if it's engaging and if the reader wants to keep reading it. But I also don't know, like, I do feel like it's breaking some rules about word length depending on, based on genre. And is the typical romance reader going to be like, yeah, I'm not reading something that long. So I'd love to know your thoughts on word length, especially if you're a romance reader. Like, is there a limit where it's just too long and you just won't read it? let me know. As both a reader or if you're also a writer, do you write longer books? I know I write long books. I can't help myself, but I feel like this might be too long and I'm just really worried about that. So let's chat book length and word length and page count and how long of a book is too long of a book. I'd love to know in the comments. And yeah, I'm gonna get on with having a really cozy and relaxing evening before I have to go to work tomorrow. And I will see you all very soon in the next vlog. Thank you very much for watching this one. Bye!